Let's go, guys.
Where did you learn that's good English?
It's just good English.
All the time.
I never went to Lateran for one day.
That's your problem.
Right.
Where did you go?
I mean, after Syracuse University School, Scranton for 1 year,
Oi,
Toronto. Yeah, that's right. Hilchos Chabad for 2 years. And then Toronto, basically, I was in Minnesota for a year also, but that was like a. Toronto. Yeah. Then the Toronto Masifta, then LA, and then back to Toronto, and then Chaviteru. Alrighty. Yeah. I was going to say at the beginning of yesterday, but we're showing left. Okay, so.
Right, come here.
Oh. Okay. Well, I was going to say I was saying the negate yesterday's Perek. There's something I realized I didn't clarify, but we could say a different time. It's not negate right now. It's today's Perek. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because we have a minute, that's why. Okay, Hilchos Gerushin Perek Ches, Halach Aleph. So today's Perek we're going to talk about tonight. Oh, so you know what? Let me talk and say. Okay, so let's just review quickly. Perek Ches is tonight.
4:15.
4:15. So let's review quickly. We said in the Hilchos Gerushin, Hilchos Ishus, tonight requires 4 things. You have to, when you're saying it, not when you say the term almanas. When you standard formula for tonight, you have to say let's say Yimkudeshes and Yimkudeshes with this kedushin with this get. Al Tanat, if you do this, let's say if you give me $100, and if you don't do it, you're not divorced. So it has to be you're not Mikudeshes.
That's not how we make kedushin.
It's not couple.
Right, tonight. I'm saying, but when you use it tonight, you has to be double, right? It has to be the hand before the lav. If you do before you don't do, has something possible to do, and it has to be done before you do this tonight. Once you give the get, once you give the kedushin, it's too late. And so let's just remember, bear that in mind. Okay. Yeah, today's parak is all about tonight. Hamagar shal tonight. If someone divorces his wife, gives her the divorces, but he does it with the condition. In the sky tonight, if the tonight is fulfilled, she's divorced. The name is the tie is not fulfilled, and she's not divorced. Already explained in the parak shishi of Hilchos Ishus, the specifics of it tonight. We said over there, if someone divorces on the condition, tonight, once the condition is fulfilled, however long it takes, the divorce is effective when the time is fulfilled. Not when he gives you the get. He gives the get on Sunday. He says, I'm going to ask you $100. She gives $100 on Monday. Monday's when she's divorced, not Sunday. Therefore, now that's what he gives you the way we just described, with this double expression. If he says almanas, that's another story. Therefore, because the Tanai, the Gerushin only happens on Monday when she does the Tanai, the husband has the right to nullify the get, or the Ha'isif al Tanai, or to change or to add to his condition, or the Hasis al Tanai Acher, or to make another condition. So long as she does not do the first Tanai he stipulated, he can still make changes. Even though the get reached her hand, because the divorce is not effective, he can still change the contract, so to speak. Once he does the first Tanai, he gives $100. He can't say, and you have to do this and that. Too late. The get's finished. Get, and also along the same lines. If the husband dies or the get gets destroyed or lost, rather, in this for burnt claim, she's got time before the time is fulfilled, and the regret she's not divorced because the get has to be in existence in order for it to take effect. Also, she shouldn't get married until she does it tonight. Let's say this example gives him $100. Because until it happens, maybe she might not give it. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't want to get married until the get is fulfilled. Now, what do you mean l'chadchila? If she's not divorced until she does it tonight, she can't get l'chayr. She gets married. It's nus. The answer, according to the Rambam, apparently the get is it's a process. Once he gives it, even with the condition, the process has begun. Which is why, and it finishes when she does it tonight. Which is why it's a l'chadchila only she shouldn't get married until she does it tonight. But it's only l'chadchila. It's not like she's getting married without a get. The second.
What is that? So b'diavad she could get married?
Yeah, the b'diavad the kedusha chal. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's the purpose of the tonight?
V'nisis and if if she gets married, loy tates she doesn't have to go out for a second husband. Alim kele as long as she of course does it tonight eventually, within the time frame that the husband gives. Okay, alim kele unless it remains impossible to fulfill the condition. So if the tonight is you have to get me to lunch with President Trump. You're not president anymore. You can't do it tonight. Or give Reuven about ton of $100. Reuven dies. You can't do it tonight anymore. The time is bottled, so the get can never be fulfilled. And that event, she may have to eventually go out from the second husband. Or the Pasha, she does. Yeah.
Well, the tonight can be fulfilled.
Let's say the tonight is you divorce this get on condition that next week you can give Reuven a gift of $100. Reuven dies next day. The tonight can never be fulfilled now. Too late.
No, the tonight is bottled, but it can't be fulfilled.
No. Tonight's not bottled. The tonight was to do this, and you cannot do it anymore. Shem is bad. We spent over there also. She mumble if he tells her that you are divorced retroactively from this moment or from today. On tonight you do this and this. Or Shlomo tells her I'm a nas kach on condition of such and such. In that terminology, because she is kaima tonight when she fulfills the condition, she becomes divorced. Mishas the other retroactively from when the get was given into her hands. He gives her the get on Sunday and says to her, "You're divorced with this get. Al manas, you give me $100." 2 weeks later, she gives him $100. She's divorced retroactively from the moment of the giving of the get. The fichin, therefore, and the yachol of get, because it's a get, it takes effect retroactively. If he on Monday at the next day says, "You know what? I changed my mind. I'm being about to get," or he wants to add to the tonight, or to add to the tonight, he cannot do that. He's unable to. When she does the condition he fulfills, let's say the tonight is to give Reuven a $100 gift. Not that a husband, it's not a good example. The tonight is to give Reuven a $100 gift, and she gives Reuven the $100 gift. The husband said, "What do you mean? I was about to get 10 minutes ago. Too late." Once she gives Reuven the $100 gift, retroactively from a Sunday when she got the get in her hand, she's divorced. Too late. The husband can't change. Clear? All this stuff, if the get gets lost or burned, even the husband dies before she goes to gives Reuven the gift, does this condition. She can fulfill, the kindness of Tanai. Yeah, and she can fulfill the condition. She's divorced when the get was given to her hand. When the get was given to her hand, she's divorced. It's just in order to make it effective, she has to do the tonight later. Therefore, the husband died with no kids. She does not need to do Yom Chalitza because she's divorced. And she cannot marry a kohen. The husband died. The husband died after he divorced her. She's an almana, not a grusha. And in that example, because it's retroactive, she can go with no problem getting married before you give Reuven the gift. We're not worried it won't be fulfilled. Since the get was given in a mannerism that it's going to be retroactive, whenever she does it, we're not worried about the divorce happening.
Why is she not going to do it?
No. Why should we mess herself up that way? So the truth is, in my example of giving Reuven a gift is not an example where Reuven dies. What if the example was she's going to have to, travel to Mount Everest? She could. It's not a problem. This is Ram's opinion. Call him a guy. Tonight, when someone divorces with the condition, whether he says retroactive, or he says if you do this or don't do this, in which case the get is only effective from at least in its full state. When the tonight happens later, regardless, he should not be secluded with his wife as long as in the interim before the tonight is done, unless there's a witness present. I feel shift even if it's a slave or a maidservant. Again, this idea is in order to prevent them from being together physically. The exception in this case a witness that would not be effective is her young child or her maidservant. In that example, if it's her maidservant or a young child who's a minor, she's not embarrassed to have relations in front of them. So it's a common knowledge. If he secludes himself in front of two witnesses, I feel this guy even if afterwards she goes and does it tonight, there's a suffix aggressious. There's a get is a suffix. Why? Maybe he had relations with her and he was about to get in order to by having relations with her, essentially he's about to get.
Right, you can't divorce
somebody. I'm sorry, no, not automatically. He says he has to actually about the but we're chayshish. No, because
if he has relations with her,
it's loose could be. But the word is that we assume if he has an opportunity to do it beheter, why would we do it business? Therefore, we're chayshish. He was about to get. He said he gets bottle, and then he was with his wife. And because if a yid has an opportunity to have tashmish, an eifin of heter or a mitzvah versus an eifin of iser, we assume he'll take the heter different route. And therefore, before he's with his wife, we're chayish as we'll say later on in Hilchos Gerushin. So, not shy they're together, the get becomes batal automatically. That's not true. The word is that we're chayish he was batal because of opportunity, basically, for the purpose of being with his wife, beheter. So,
That's what it says.
yeah, that's the beer.
All right, this makes sense.
And that's in Perek Yud Halacha Test. I'm more specific about that. So that's what over here they should not be misyachid, because if they are misyachid, then we can no longer take it to get seriously, because we assume if you're misyachid, they're tashmish. We assume if they're tashmish, he was about to get. And I mean, it's not for sure. It's a doubt. Shatak is also on a claim himself, let's say, but Gimel. Kate Megora Shal tonight. What is the proper procedure for divorcing his wife for the tonight? Lo Yishim, Marquis forget the Yishal tonight is not that you tell those Shafer if the husband is not writing it himself, he tells someone else to write it. He doesn't say to this person, write it with this tonight in mind. Like kiss for tonight, or give it, or write it and give it to her with this tonight. Ain't just to say, he shouldn't write in the text. Al tonight is that Gerish plenty so with this condition, so and so divorces his wife. So what is the proper way? It tells the Sefer write the get, tells witness to sign the get, in case you get kosher belation time. But then he writes the get in a kosher fashion, as if there was no tonight. Regular get. But afterwards, no, get. He gives her the get as normal, but he tells her before he gives it to her, or as he's giving it to her, this get this is your get. You are divorced with this. On condition of such and such. Or tells the sefer, the edim, or to a shliach. He tells the shluchim to give it to her with that tonight. So he doesn't tell the shliach to write it with that in mind. He doesn't tell the edim to sign with that in mind. When he gives her the get, or when he instructs a shliach to give her the get, he says this is the get on condition that she does such and such.
He
It's a verbal
never
agreement.
said that. He never said that.
Who's he?
He's saying if you later said it wasn't, he didn't
I
say it.
didn't say that.
It's
I'm
in front of
I have
Abel.
to get. I have to get.
Oh, if she has to get in her hand, if you have no right otherwise, then we have. And she wants to, Hashem knows the truth, but she wants to do that. She could. That's why
It's not a good idea.
Oh, right, that's the percent, right? Yeah, no, but the point is that what if it's his word against her word? But the point is that first of all, I think the get is given in front of Aiden. That's usually the procedure. Aiden Masir, the most important thing.
Yeah, but the get is not chal till the knife b'chuy.
So it depends if he says ma'achshav or not, or amanas, right? But true. But yeah, but he's saying that but we're saying that we look at that's true. If a woman has to get in her hand and she's out, I'm divorced, and he says, "What are you telling lies for? I gave you the out tonight. You give me $1 million." It's his word against her word. We believe that she's progressive.
Does she make a knife?
No, I believe so. I'm not that I know.
No, it's al-kocha.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But in these days,
Because she's not
she refuses to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, no, but she doesn't do anything in the garage. She's not an active role. She doesn't.
Right, but I'm saying she doesn't want to go receive the get.
You drag her in, and that's
No, so yes, there are
it's a very famous case.
There are technical things, but they don't affect the halacha of the get.
The daughter of Rapoport.
Yeah, okay.
You have to get a. They have to get a
Yeah, okay. It's okay. It's public knowledge.
It's a very
All right.
What?
Dalit, yeah? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dalit. Cost about tonight the get after if he writes it tonight in the get after you wrote the fundamental part, which is the date and their names and the part that says she is divorced with the Habib Adam. Here's a get kosher. The get is kosher because he wrote the get's kosher. Whether it was written before or after the Idm signature. If he writes it before that part earlier in the get, even if he says in the get, on condition of such and such, which is the proper thing you would say if he gave the get. So he wrote the term that's appropriate to say, as opposed to inappropriate tonight. How is a suffix garish? And the garish in that case is a suffix if it's effective or not. Why? In the get itself, he retains the right to determine if it's a valid or not. So therefore, there's a problem in the actual document. It's not a full krisus.
Why?
Because he writes the get is only effective on manas kach v'kach. So it's not a get krisus. It's a get of maybe krisus. The same thing would apply if he verbally makes a tanai before he or the sefer, the shliach, to write the get for you. Writes the front of the part. Is a gerushin. The gerushin is a suffix. The Gemara has a suffix if it's kosher or not, and therefore we have a suffix as well because it's not considered a full krisus.
Tanai is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, sure. Right. It makes the get. In limbo. Hamagara shes yishtem now left. As someone divorces his wife makes it tonight. When he does it in writing after the teref, which is the fundamental part of the get, or he does it verbally. Normally tells her, you are mutter to marry anybody, except for Ruvain. Or if I can't, you can only marry Ruvain. Nasa get the times he gives you this tonight. If that person is also on her because he's a guy or an eved, or her brother, via erva, who like father and brother. Excuse me.
What are
Her
the
father,
craving?
her brother, or
Yeah.
his father, his brother.
Should they be in?
His caution. In that case, you get his caution. Why? Because when he says to her, "You can't marry anybody except for your father,"
Of course you can.
so
He didn't
he's
exclude anything.
he's
He's
not
making it-
exactly. The only two was already excluded already. He's like he can't marry an animal. I can taste it. What's the other?
That's not a tonight.
It's not exactly. It's not considered. Well, basically.
It's not
In
a
other
tonight.
words,
No, that's not.
Oh,
exactly.
Didn't my
Yeah.
eyes say
The Shadows of the Ram, however, said El Ish Pliny. You can only marry so and so. In that case, because he said something which is also against according to the Torah, so it wouldn't be effective either.
No, you can't. You can't tell. You can't make a get and say you're Gershon except from this person.
1 second. So we're talking about specifically Dafkin Erevin. That's not a regular person. We'll talk about that soon. But here the example is where the person he's trying to exclude the get from being effective on is somebody she anyways can't marry, whether he ever married her in the first place. That's what's important. Whether if he says to you, you can't marry the guy across the street, we'll talk about that in a second. That's going to be next halachos later. But or actually maybe soon. Right? Yeah, but the example where
He's
he
making
says,
a tonight on an Isser. That's what he's doing.
No, it's not a get.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Right, they're both the same thing. The lashon of chutz v'ish pleni ella leish pleni. It's basically ella meish pleni. The point is the same. You divorce everybody, you can marry whoever you want, except for your father.
Right.
That case, the get is kosher. If that person, however, somebody who she could theoretically get kedushin from, and it's chal, because her father in the kaddish is not kedushin, right? Even though it's allowed, for example, right? Or for example, he tells her, except for this kindness, she's a grusha. Who caught that even though that person's a minor, the get is not valid. So sheer beget the he retains in the get something that's not considered full krisus. Because the holiday of a get is you can marry whoever you want, and I have no balance anymore. He's saying you can marry whoever you want. If you marry that guy, for that you consider like you're being unfaithful to me. That doesn't work. Right. If this person he says you can't marry is her sister's husband, the wife's husband, her brother-in-law, who's also even who because of Erva, since he's married to her sister, he can't marry her. Since if her sister dies, he can marry the other sister. In that case, the suffix, the Gemara has a suffix because now at the moment he can't marry her, but in the future it might happen. The father can never change. Follows us forever. But the sister's husband, that may or may not be considered a krisus, and the Gemara is not sure if the get is chal or not. So she's the static of a suffix regression.
Why is that?
He says you're mutter anybody you want, except for somebody who's not born yet. Any children born after today, those people are us to you. Not in the world today. Except for your znus. What do you mean chutz mizusayich? Claimer. You can marry whoever you want. Avol is nus. If you stammas are going to be with somebody or for the night, not through marriage. For that, as far as that refers, you're my wife still, and therefore it's like you're not you're still married to me. That's considered as nus. Or you are mutter to anybody who has relations with you in normal fashion. If it's in an abnormal manner, you're still also as an eshish. You're mutter to anybody you want. Except someone gives you kedushin using a star, which is a legitimate fashion. If someone uses a star, you can because of a bia, but of the star, you're still married to me as far as the idea of being married to him in that matter. This is interesting. You're married to her, you marry whoever you want. As far as the husband's rights to say to her, your vows are nullified. I have no shaykhs of husbands to you, except for nullifying your nether. As far as the first dharma goes, I retain that right. Or the Indian for example, of eating truma. I'm a kohen. You're divorced. Marry you want. As far as truma goes, I retain that right. Only in Yerusha, as far as Yerusha.
He wants to be able to make sure he could feed her.
Yeah, maybe. Only the Indian, as far as Yerusha goes, this is more of a monetary thing. If you pass away, I inherit you. That's really a moment thing. But still, these are all sfekas. So an example where he says, I'm still your husband as far as the Durham goes, we're not sure if the get is chal, meaning that the doubt is, do we say the get is good, she's divorced? Or do we say the get is nonsense, she's still married to this guy? Or do we say the get is chal, and his tie is effective, which means that the halacha with the Rambam, if she takes his get and goes marry somebody else, Then she makes a neder, I'm not going to drink wine. The first husband, no question, is the one who's made for the neder and says, Mufralach, she could drink wine. Either she's still married to him because he gets a joke, or that gets affected, but he retains the right for Sadarim. I think that's Pshat Nanam. I can point him. So, in other words, the alternative is that the get is effective, and his time is a joke. I don't think that's Pshat, as far as I understand. Anyway, upon him, that's the whole part. So good. Okay. So, Zayin, Amalei, that's Chadam Chutz Shimon. Your mutter, what do you want? Except you can't marry Reuven and Shimon. These two guys. Because Amalei goes and tells her, and we said before that's not considered creases, so it's a problem. You can't do that. Chaz Amalei, and then I'm sorry, we said it's a suffix. We said it's a suffix. The Chaz then he says, "Have it the Reuven Shimon. You are mutter Reuven Shimon. His regression again is good. So he was about to this time. This whole tonight, which we said is holding to get back. He was about to. Shanashim she's on the people who he made tonight regarding her not marrying. He was mad to them, so it's a full crisis. Ches. I happen to do shots. It's fine. You can give it get in parts apparently. Ches. Amalai says to her. Sorry, 1 second. You have to clarify that according to the Rambam, basically the Rambam holds you have to take the get back and hand it to her again. That's a churb shot according to the Maggid Mishnah Rambam. Good. Amalai. So that's not enough just to say yeah. They're okay as well. He has to actually hand it to her. Amalai says to Reuven, you're much to Reuven. Remember, he said you can't marry everyone except Reuven and Shimon. Then he says you're mutter to Reuven. Because still he's holding back on Shimon. Although if he tells her after he says to her, after he says you can marry whoever you want except for Reuven and Shimon, then he says have a test Reuven Shimon. You're mutter to Shimon. Or he's even more explicit. You're mutter even to Shimon. Gerushin is still a suffix. Why Shimon? Maybe he means you mutter to the whole world and even to Shimon, but not Reuven. Reuven, you still can't marry, and therefore, we're not. If he might mean that, because he might mean that, the get is in a doubt. He said even Shimon. Let me to say for every person, even Shimon, but not Reuven. Alternatively, he's matter for everybody, and therefore, he says even the Shimon, but who had in Reuven as well. So Shimon was mentioned next to Reuven, and therefore we're not sure what his intention is. This verbiage. So because we don't know what he's thinking. The get is a suffix. If we knew for sure somehow that his intention was Matar Reuven and Shimon, that could be good. Test. He is now the next time says, you're divorced, you're not my wife anymore, but tomorrow you're my wife again. So you're married today, we're married on Tuesday, but the day between we're not divorced. We're not married. And your gracious. Oh no, so he's not saying that. He's saying the get the get has temporary impact. Even though he's making full creases between them today in his mind, because you can't do that. The you write the get today forever to clarify that it's not a temporary thing. You can't do temporary gittin. Yud. Here's a gittin. In other words, it's a contradiction. It's a paradox in terms to have a creases that's complete, but it's only temporary. Exactly. Here's a gittin. And one of the fundamental principles of a get is it has to be get creases completely. So in other words, besides for the content, it has to be also in time complete. This is you get almanash, you don't drink wine the rest of your life, or anything else for that matter. Ain't a get. Why is it not a get? She ain't a Christian. She ain't a Christian. This is not considered Christian because you always retains that her whole life she's bound to him by not drinking wine to be retaining divorce status. Therefore, it's not considered Christian. Call you mechaya, call you mechaya plain. If he says the rest of my life, the rest of so and so's life, that get works. He made krisis, but there's no rishus on him when that person dies. So he's not saying to her that you're forever bound to me. The Tanai is for this amount of time span until this transpires. He can't do this. That's regular Tanai.
Then I'm still bound to you. Then she's still bound to him.
Any Tanai you're still bound. So it's like saying you divorced me achshav as long as you don't drink wine. Yeah, so it's considered. Now, if she goes and drinks wine, she's a problem. She shouldn't do that. This is your get. You don't travel to your father's house for 30 days. The get is effective. And again, she can even get married before the 30 days is over, as long because we trust her. She can make sure not to do what she shouldn't do. If he says you can't go to your father's house forever, ain't a get. Again, the same problem. You can't bound yourself to her by every aspect of her life. Therefore, if he says but you says the basar he says you can Menashe don't eat meat forever, or this meat even, right? This meat forever. You never drink this wine. Ain't a get. Why? She ain't a not krisus. because she's forever bound by definition for her life to. She has to always constantly make sure the get doesn't go away, which they can't do. Yeah, no, this is not ideal thing. Yeah, this is not. There's a reason why it's not kitzur shulchan. This is not.
Today, basically, never allows it.
No. So this not really. Yeah, exactly. If he says there until 3 days, how does it get?
Actually, you have a lot of these cases around where the man
That's
makes
what the husband says.
makes monetary
Yeah,
demands.
we gotta move. Days. If he says this is your get, you'll get married to so and so. You don't get married to so and so. Ain't a get because again, what's to compare it to? He says to her, it's the same thing as saying if this is your get, you don't drink wine forever because you can never get married to him. You can't go to your father's house forever. All this of your life. He tells her, you can't get married in the next 50 years. And then the Tashbatz explains that the Rambam chose a number that it's for sure going to be beyond the woman's lifespan. That's the assumption. So the by default, he is automatic.
It's forever.
It's essentially going to be forever for her. How does he get the get's effective? Because ultimately it's not by definition in the Tanai something which is forever.
If she accepts it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
If she doesn't accept, because either way,
No. She doesn't accept it. When he gives her the get, she doesn't have a say in that. Hey,
if a woman doesn't accept the get, it's not a get.
If she's not the what's l'chlal, obviously not.
So I'm saying something, but in this situation where you're not allowed to get married for the next 50 years, she said it's a negative either way.
No,
whether
the
she
point
stays,
is when he gives the get with this tie, it's effective, and she's divorced.
Right.
And she can't get married.
If she accepts the get.
If she doesn't accept the get, we don't care if he made it tonight or not.
What if she doesn't accept it? He puts it in and wants it and that's finished.
Yeah, I mean exactly. Basically,
No.
so
now you have the
Today.
yeah, no. So yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Woman
exactly.
has
We're not dealing with her and her acceptance, and that's not like you. I'm doing as fast as I can. Yeah, but she cannot get married for that entire time span. The if she does get married, both like my friend, gets both my friend. Now she is no longer considered divorced. She's basically being mizana. Zan seeing maybe she spends the night with him, not married though. Havad kosher, but get kosher. She's the child's kosher. So it's the get. So hisna el that tonight was dafka marriage. This is not marriage. Yud Gimel, not advised, but not marriage. Hey, you get the chamanasha. She doesn't play. This is your get. On condition you get married only to Yanko. If this is like if she marries him, has a get. The get's effective. Kishal called him as any tonight. She should not get married to that guy or anybody else for that matter. Why? She didn't get married to him. People will say they're trading wives. It's too shady. Don't get married to anybody else. Obviously, she ain't get tonight because you married anybody else. The tonight is not effective, and she's essentially breaking the tonight, and then she's retroactively and married him to the first guy, and she's being mizana. Oh, but he says plenty. If she goes and transgresses and gets married to that individual, like Tate said, we don't force her to leave. Even though it looks inappropriate, but he's giving her to him as a gift, so to speak, like a slave, so to speak. If she marries somebody else before marrying that person, the get's bottle because she married somebody else. The Tate said by the mom, she has to go out to the mamzer, or she has to get the second husband because it looks like she was married to him. Now the Rabbi holds, and the Rambam agrees to this, that if after marrying that person, having children, now their mom's dating, if she didn't die, she marries the original person the tie was for, and retroactively the children are kosher because the tie was fulfilled. Now, if the Rambam holds like that, I'm not sure. All right, you doubt. How does he get that? Here's your get, but the paper I get. This is antique parchment. I want it back. That's tonight. Ain't immigration, not divorce. Ain't zakris. That's not krisus because the document which makes the get is something only he has rights to, not her. That's not krisus. On condition you give me the paper. So he's not saying here's your get, but the paper belongs to me. Here's the get. On condition you give me the paper back. Here's the get that counts for and he gives it to her because that's like saying that when he gives it to her, it's he's not containing anything. There's a separate independent external condition that she has to give the paper back to him. That type of works. First of all, if he engraves the get on a golden plate and gives it to her, and Alma tells her, here's your get, and you should at one shot. Kasha, that's kasha. So in other words, the chiddush over here, the Gemara explains that don't think that one item can do two things: be the get and pay the ksuba. It's not true. It could. She got a ksuba. In the Yesh Patas Kedek assume that this golden plate is the value. If it's less, the Ashma Ksubasi has to pay the rest in cash. Absolutely. Design, it's debt. Don't say, oh, because he said Uksubasa and wasn't enough, he gets a bottle. No. That's a monetary problem. Tonight, I get. Anybody who divorces a woman with a tonight, that tonight will make the get irrelevant. Here, for example, he says to you should get Amanas, you don't drink wine forever, which we said before does not work. It gets possible. Or you should or you're mutter whoever you want except for so and so forever. Or he makes any tonight, but he does it before he writes the fundamental part. If that tonight was written in the get, and he goes and erases it and gives it back to her appropriately, it's a suffix aggression. It's a suffix if she's divorced, because we're not sure that whether or not once the get becomes possible, can you use it again, basically. That's if it's written in the get. Once the get is a problem in the document, can it become okay again if you erase the psul? It's not clear. If it was just a verbal tonight, he can take the get back from her, give it to her again this time without a tonight with a kosher tonight, and it's effective. So the fact that he gave it Kate said, for example, he gives he tells her, you are divorced with this get, you can marry whoever you want, except for so and so. So if he takes the get back from her and then gives it to her again and tells her, that's you are whatever you like. Oh, this is your get. She's divorced. So we don't say that because you gave it to her, the document becomes possible. Too late. That's not true. Take it back and give it to her again. He wasn't Mavatal the get. He just goofed it tonight. So the get's still kosher. That's the point. You Mavatal the get, it's bottled forever. It's like a shard. But once if you give it to her, you didn't do it correctly, so you didn't give her a get. So take it back and give it again. So the cheftza, like the item is still kosher. Saying get the yishtal tonight. Someone going to get to his wife on condition you have to give me $1 million, okay, or 200 zuz. And then he makes another tonight if they aid him. For example, in front of witnesses. Why is that mentioned in front of witnesses? I'm not sure. He makes it tonight, or you can't dispute in front of witnesses, that she has to serve his father for 2 years. His later tonight does not nullify the first tonight. It's as if he said to her, do one of the two. Whichever one, if she wants, she serves his father. In this case, or she could give the money, whichever one she wants. Because they're two completely different things, she chooses. Now, this is talking about a case where he gave the get and he said, the lashon of, if you give me 200 zuz, you're divorced. If not, you're not. If he gives it to her and says to her, if you get Amanah, 200 zuz, he hands it to her, that's a done deal. Now it's up to her to give the money over. Can't change anything. So, this example, she could add and change because she gave in the old classic longer lashon. You can't do two. You can't give $100 and serve for 1 year. Either 200 zuz or 2 years of service. You can't do partial tonight. If he made it tonight, she has to give him 200 zuz. And he makes a new tonight. He asks me 300 zuz. We don't say it's 500 total. And yes, or 3 or 2, whichever you want. The 200 tonight is bottom. She must give a full 300. The same applies to any situation where the tonight is to add. So you say, you must serve my father for 2 years, then he adds 3 years. It has to be full 3 years. You test. He's no less. Should pass the divorce. If next to tonight, he should get ask you do something. He doesn't give a time frame. He's like, if he said for 1 day, since he didn't spend a time frame. Katie, for example, if he tells her, hey, this is your get. As long as you do this work with me, right? In my tailor shop. You serve my father. You nurse my child. If he does malacha with him or his father 1 day, which I guess means 24 hours straight, or I'm not sure exactly define 1 day. Or she nurses a child within the time frame that a child normally nurses before being 24 months old. What if the thing which helps do the tonight is lost? So if the father dies or the child dies, you can't serve the father anymore. And again, it's not get because the condition was to do this, and now it's not possible to do it. Rabbi tells her, I'm gonna ask you to nurse my child or serve my father 2 years. She has to complete that time. If the child or the father dies within that time frame, the father says, I don't want you to serve me. So she can't do it. It's not a get. What is it? I'm adding a lot of chaf. He didn't say in the test. I'm not completely sure. Point is that even though she started, still not good. Or the father says, I don't want you to serve me.
Forget it, I don't like you.
And if she puts a gun to his head and she serves him, it's still not good. He has to be the word is she serves the father willingly. That's part of the time. I think so. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, could be no. Could be Shadis is the hot. Yeah, whatever. Fine. Could be the word is she doesn't serve the father. He doesn't let her. Okay. But if she puts a gun to his head, makes her let her serve him. I don't know. Here's your get on tonight. You give me 200 zuz within the next 30 days. If she gives you within 3 days consensually, she's divorced. After 3 days, anyway, she's not divorced. She puts a gun to his head and says, take the money. He says, no, I don't want to. And she says, I'll shoot you. He says, fine. Any Rachel doesn't want to take it, get puzzled with their bottom. She gives it willingly because the Chacham were not sure if forcing someone to accept something is considered accepting or not. And therefore, it's a subject. He says during 3 days, he says to her, during the 30 days, these money I said you have to give me, I forgive the debt. You don't have to give any gracious, not gracious. So they learn not sometimes. Now it's to give it, not to get out of having to give it. The time was to give it. But then, if he dies within 30 days, she can't give it now. Since 3 days passed, she didn't give it. And gracious, she is not divorced.
It's difficult to give it. Yeah.
Exactly. Chaf base. If he tells her,
Now you don't want it.
exactly. Right. And if the husband has a brother, she has to yibum. Yeah. Yeah. But let's say the husband has one brother who is a shaita. She's not good. She can't get married now. She's not right. But she moved to her kain. I'm saying if it's no brother. If he tells her, she cannot give it to his heirs. So he's not the tonight was it has to be given to him. The again is not bottle either. Why is it not bottle? So it covers man. There's no time established. So even though he's dead now, the get still exists, so to speak. Again, the Rambam holds. Remember, we give it tonight, and they give it tonight, and you say if you do give it, you're divorced. If not, you're not divorced. If you do the thing, it starts when he gives the get, and it finishes when she does the thing. And therefore, it's a work in progress. So the get still essentially exists. And therefore,
Even though he died.
Even though, therefore, even if the get was destroyed or burned before he died, if there's a brother, she should not get married to somebody else without chalitza. Either the guy is dead, I'm sorry. That's why she because he's dead. But even though the get was burned, the tonight can never happen now. So the whole get's irrelevant. But since it was started, she has to do chalitza. But since it still exists, I mean, she has to do chalitza. It's not clear if it wasn't finished, basically.
But the fact that if the chalitza happens, she's free.
Yeah, right, correct. Chav Gimel. Okay, Chav Beis needs to be explored more, but we don't have time now. So okay, Chav Gimel. How does you get this? You get Amanash. You can plenty. This is your get. I want to give me this item, this beggar. But that exact item was stolen or lost. She gives him $1,000 and he gets no get. That exact item must be given, or the time must be battled. Because the Tanai wasn't giving its value, right? This Baby Ruth rookie card is exactly what I want. I don't want $1 million. I want that. Therefore, so the Tanai wasn't filled. Vishan is Garish al Tanai. The Kitcha tonight. Someone who's divorced with the Tanai. Someone else came along with the college before the time was fulfilled. Imis Gama Tanai, the time was fulfilled. The second person. But is Gama Tanai about to get if the get is not fulfilled and the get is nullified. Aim and get Mishani. She does not need to get the second person. Shane Kedushin takes him, but because there's no Kedushin, you give Kedushin to Ish, she's not married. If she gets married and the Tanai is not fulfilled, then the get becomes bottled, she'll get Mishani. She does need to get, as we said earlier, in the Lachid Gimel. Yeah, well, we done my way today.
Okay.